Hi everyone, today we're going to talk about what is the best way to get permanent residency, or the quickest and easiest way. The short answer is there is none, right? So you need to make sure you're on the right track to make sure that something can lead you to permanent residence. One of the main questions that we get is, okay, if I wanted to become a permanent resident straight away, how can I do that? There are very few ways that you can do that. One of the main ways is through the Federal Invitation Program, which is the Subclass 189, then the State Invitation Program, Subclass 190. But remember, for both of these visas, you are competing against the rest of the world to get an invitation. So you have to make sure that you have the competitive edge in terms of the points that you score, and based on your points is what may result in you getting that invitation for a visa. Now, you need to make sure that you are able to compete with them and that you qualify and all the points that you claim are correct. Even if there's a slight change in the points that you've claimed over time, or whether you've claimed the wrong points, and that will lead to the visa being refused. Now, let's go back to the original question. What is the best permanent resident pathway? You have to make sure that you have aligned your skills and work experience along with studies with the right occupation. Now, Australia follows a system where you have to choose an occupation, and based on that occupation is how you can get permanent residency, because they're looking for skilled work. Now, one of the main things to look out for is go to the link we've provided in the description below and check out the occupations that are in the medium to long-term list. Now, that's what Australia likes to focus on the most, and that's where you'll have the highest chance of an invitation. There are certain occupations that Australia will prioritise, and this may change year to year. At the moment, the Australian government is going to set up another body within the government that constantly assesses and changes what occupations they would like to keep in demand. And this is going to be a more agile way for them to adjust the occupation list over time. Now, there's another list called the short-term list, which you should focus on if nothing aligns in the medium to long-term list, and you can still lead to permanent residency that way. Now, we talked about the 189 and the 190 pathway. The other one is the Subclass 186. Now, if you have a company that's willing to sponsor you, you can go directly for permanent residency as well if you meet the requirements. Now, all of these visas that I'm going to be talking about, you can contact any lawyer or migration agent. They'll be able to do an eligibility assessment for you to help you understand the requirements and whether you qualify, or maybe if the company is sponsoring you, whether they qualify to sponsor you as well. Now, the other visas I want to talk about is the Subclass 491 and the 494. Both of these are regional based visas, and there are additional occupations for the regional occupation list. Now, if you qualify for any of these, then you can try and get an invitation either under the Subclass 491, or you can try and get employer sponsored in a regional area by a company located in a regional area under the Subclass 494. So it's very important to make sure, again, at the end of the day, you have to align yourself to an occupation that's on the list. Now, each occupation has different criteria for you to be eligible for it. You should go to ANZSCO, ANZSCO, and check out what the eligibility is for that occupation. Now, for the Subclass 189, 190, 491, 494, and the 186 direct entry that we've talked about, all of these require a mandatory skills assessment to be done beforehand. So you should make sure you have that ready if you'd like to go that way. Now, for the Subclass 482, that can also lead to permanent residency down the track if you work for your employer for a period of 2 years. Again, speak to someone that's a professional to help guide you on understanding the eligibility criteria, not just for the temporary visa, but how to get to the permanent from that as well. Now, this is for the 482, 491, 494, which are all technically temporary visas that can lead to permanent residency. Now, if you have not got relevant skills maybe, or if you don't have the relevant education and you're coming to Australia to study, my advice would be to pick the right occupation that can help you achieve all your goals, whether that's permanent residency or not. You should make sure, if your objective might be that maybe in the future you want to become a permanent resident, make sure it's a course that you choose that you're interested in firstly, but secondly, does it align to that permanent residency objective as well? So that could be something as simple as becoming a cook, all the way up to maybe becoming an engineer or doing research or university lecturer. So there's a whole variety of occupations that can actually lead to permanent residency, all the way from trades to very high level professional positions, including managing directors and CEOs. Again, all of these occupations will have different criteria that you would need to meet. If you have any questions regarding any of the pathways or strategic alignment in terms of your goals, you can contact us at MCA and we can try and assist you by setting up a consultation and guiding you in the correct direction.